star. Yeah. Come on! Every nigger is a star.
Alright, LDZ, gun 3 is ready. Shelter, peel up apart, charge 7 field time, 1 round. Deflection 5246, time 72.
And we are live. Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the very pilot episode of PrivatePyle's Foxhole podcast. The only podcast in the universe that comes to you live from the shithole of the world. Where that might be, it's, well, the world. I am your host, the eponymous Private Pyle. I am being generously hosted on this channel for surprisingly cheap rent. and by some guy named Samuel D. Bourne. I don't know, he sounds like kind of an asshole. Some guy who wants to be a filmmaker or some I don't know if that guy actually makes it, that will be proof that Hollywood is dead. I will tell you that much. But thankfully, because solo podcasts are depressing to listen to, I have some guests with me today.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
All right. So, first off, you know her as the nicest girl on YouTube, or at least the nicest girl on YouTube that would agree to do something this stupid. Kitetails.
Aw, thanks for inviting me.
And of course, her
Accomplice, I guess. I don't know.
Sidekick. You know how it is.
henchman, Flex. The guy with opinions on movies that are almost as good as mine. And of course, we have a few international guests as well. Live from the monster-infested, woodland critter-shitting countryside of Scotland, we have Fede and Peter.
Hi.
I take offense to a few of those comments, but hi.
That's fantastic. I don't care. So, anyway, essentially the concept is for us to, a group of people to come together, talk about something that is pertinent to the world, probably. I mean, that's kind of subjective, but who knows? I don't care. It's my show. And see if we can reach any sort of consensus, but in a very informal way, not unlike soldiers arguing about, I don't know, what do soldiers argue about when they're under constant fire?
Temperature of coffee?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Getting shot at?
That's also very important, yes. But we're not here to talk about getting shot at. We're here to talk about something much worse. The film industry. So, originally, how I wanted to structure this podcast was to sort of, specifically to talk about the Oscars, and to sort of go over every category and the nominees and talk as much or as little as we felt like doing. The problem is, none of us have seen all of even the Best Picture nominees, and admittedly, a lot of us didn't get around to seeing many of anything that was nominated recently, I think. So what I'm going to do instead is I basically have everyone talk about what they saw this year, and have that be a jumping point into a larger discussion about the current state of the movie industry. Because basically the thing is that it's on the verge of crashing.
So we can't talk about what movies. I don't even know what movies are nominated, honestly. I don't pay attention to the Oscars whatsoever, so I don't even know.
I looked them up yesterday and I have watched none of them.
No. Not even Boss Baby?
Boss Baby is
Especially
not
not
nominated.
Boss Baby.
No, seriously, it is.
Is it serious? What is it nominated for?
Animated feature film.
Best Picture.
Wow. Not Best Picture, that is a lie.
Yeah. No, the categories are actually Boss Baby, Ferdinand, that the Bull movie with John Cena, the breadwinner, which I recognize because I read the book, Coco, because Pixar. It's the Pixar Awards because.
Yeah.
And Loving Vincent, which is a movie I've only heard of because I follow the composer Clint Mansell on Twitter.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of those. And,
No kidding, I didn't either.
Coco looked good.
I heard it was really good.
I heard Coco was amazing, and like in Mexico, I think it's like the most successful film since like a film that came out in the 20s or something like that.
That does not surprise me, actually.
Yeah, but I'm not really into the whole, I guess, musical aspect of it. I don't really want to see a musical, so I don't know if I'll get around.
Well, we
to
also
it.
got The Greatest Showman, so
Yeah,
I don't know,
I'm
maybe.
also not into that.
Like, it's like I only cared about La La Land because I was, I guess, overly sentimental that year. But I just looked at the trailer for this, like, are we really trying to make Lightning Strike twice? Like, who asked for a circus musical?
A circus musical that has, like, you know, one of the Jonas Brothers, or what's his name, Zac Efron in it. Okay, well, maybe that's unfair. Zac Efron,
Yeah,
I guess,
that's the thing.
I
You
guess
like
Zac-
Jumanji, and that has a Jonas Brother in it, so I was wondering.
Oh, did it really? I
Yeah.
didn't know.
The one guy was a Jonas brother.
He did a good job, though.
I
guess
feel like
I
the
can't
Jonas
discriminate
Brothers
against the
do
Jonas
much
Brothers.
better when they're not together than when they are together.
They're stronger when they're separated.
Yeah, because the other one is part of that dance band, and they actually make good music. So you
Yeah,
know,
that's true.
Dance band.
when Jonah Brothers aren't together,
They're stronger.
good things happen.
See, now Jumanji wasn't nominated for anything, and I really enjoyed that movie.
That movie's phenomenal.
That kind of surprised me because, like, I remember the first one, like, fondly enough, and it's like I just kind
Oh yeah, the first Jumanji's great.
yeah, and I was thinking like, okay, I can kind of see what they're trying to do something different, but the way that you kind of explained it, like, yeah, okay, I can like, wow, this actually kind of worked somehow. So yeah, that's interesting. Anyway, we should probably get back on track. Who wants to say what they saw this year?
I saw Flex and I saw The Shape of Water. We saw Get Out. What else did we see that was nominated?
It was nominated.
I just think The Shape of Water and Get Out is all we saw.
Was
What about Blade Runner?
Oh, Blade
That
Runner
is-
is not nominated for anything, is it?
Yeah. No.
What's-
Nominated for visual effects, cinematography. Hang on. Mostly technical, I think. Technical awards like production design, cinematography, sound mixing, score, visual effects, and was there one more? Surprisingly, not adapted
It's
screenplay,
certainly
which is a
not,
fucking shame.
Director, actor,
No.
picture.
Yeah, it's all technical stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, by far was my favorite movie this year. Probably my favorite movie the last couple of years.
I don't blame you at all. No, I loved it. It was.
I just pulled up the list.
I
haven't
do
seen
not.
90% of these
I do
movies.
not fucking understand why everyone says it was too long. Like.
Perfect length. Long enough, I say.
Well,
Yeah.
Fede and Peter haven't seen any of the Oscar films, so I don't want to spend like too much time talking about those if they haven't seen them. We were going to like change the conversation a little bit so that they can be included more.
Right.
Just talk about the general state of movies today, or maybe like Hollywood films.
Yeah.
And
So there's
what's
that.
happening to them.
Yeah. Flex, did you want to add ones that you saw yourself, or?
Oh, I saw everything Kite saw. We see movies together, so
Oh, okay.
ain't nothing I saw she didn't see.
Nope.
Peter
Okay.
has seen one movie that has been nominated.
Yeah, I saw Baby Driver, but it was shit, so... I don't know.
Oh, come on.
No,
Oh, you
it
didn't
was
like Baby
terrible.
Driver?
Oh man, it was spectacular. I don't think I've seen something more Edgar Wright directed this year.
You don't like Edgar Wright?
I know Flex loved Baby Driver.
I did.
I loved
but
it.
he's
too.
very like
Flex.
musically inclined.
Right.
So I think
sorry.
for more people that like music, maybe it has a different. Like for me, I'm not really. I'm super picky about my music, so Baby Driver was like, it was a good movie, but I wouldn't like watch it again.
Mm-hmm.
I know he liked the soundtrack, so.
Yeah, I love the soundtrack.
And Flex also liked the La La Land soundtrack, and
I did.
I hate that.
I
I would
own
have
that.
never watched it.
I am sad. I am almost disappointed to say I own that.
I didn't like the movie, but I liked the soundtrack.
Really? You didn't like the movie?
No, I was a huge fan of Whiplash, and I expected something that was actually like that level.
You just that's the thing. I didn't actually see that one.
Whiplash is phenomenal.
Oh, because I did like a video essay like a long time ago, kind of noting similarities between La La Land and Overwatch, I think, and kind of having a theory as to why they got so popular at the same time. So that was kind of interesting. So I guess you guys did bring up Jumanji. Are there any other movies that didn't necessarily get nominated, but you think are worth noting as some of the highlights of the year?
Did Wonder Woman come out last year?
Yep.
Yes, it did. Wonder Woman. I am so
Is Wonder
disappointed that it
Woman
wasn't nominated for anything.
It's not even
Oh my
lead
gosh.
actress, which is crazy.
No, it's a
Yeah.
superhero movie.
Well-
They never get nominated.
And
It should
Guardians
have
of the
gotten
Galaxy
Best
Dark
2
Knight
Actor.
got nominated. Dark Knight. Heath
Dark
Ledger
Knight.
won for
Best
Dark Knight.
Director.
Heath
Patty
Ledger only
Jenkins
won because
was
he's
amazing.
dead.
Oh yeah,
Um,
Patty Jenkins for sure. That kind of
She should have gotten
upsets
Best
me.
Director. I know, like, female director. If Patty Jenkins could just direct superhero movies from now on, that would be great. Because guess what? She does great female characters.
Does.
She
Yeah.
does
She really
great
should.
male.
Oh my
yeah,
God.
she really should. Like the dynamic between that whole
Director.
little team, the heist team with
Well, there is actually a female director nominated this year, but it's not Wonder Woman.
yeah,
it
it
is
should have been Wonder Woman.
Yeah, it's actually Lady Bird, which I did not see.
I haven't seen it either.
I haven't heard about it.
I haven't heard
Yeah.
of it
I have no clue. I figured it was one of those A24 cutesy teen drama movies or something.
I thought it was a spin-off of A Bug's Life.
I mean that might have been the coolest twist in the world, but I don't know. I guess they couldn't get the license from Pixar. So I guess it was sort of, I guess you could call it a bone thrown at the whole idea that this whole call for more females in the industry to have more leading roles, not just in front of the camera, but behind it as well. And that's kind of what the Oscars almost is half the time, just throwing bones to get people to shut up.
Well, yeah, that's like they gave Leonardo DiCaprio one for The Revenant, which
Yeah.
wasn't
No.
even like his best movie by far.
Like, he
Leonardo
should have
DiCaprio-
won for Wolf of Wall Street. He was
He should've
fantastic
won
in that
when-
movie.
He should have won for Gilbert Grape.
That's I
He
mean,
should have won
back
as
in the
Arnie
day.
because that should have been the first time he won Oscar because that role is amazing. I mean, he put his heart and soul into that role. He put his heart and soul into being Arnie, and he was like 18 years old.
Because he
playing
went
this
full retard.
severely. Oh yeah, he's playing this
What happens?
severely. Yeah, I mean,
Severely autistic child.
To quote,
like-
what's his name from
Simple Jack, the Tropic Thunder
Tropic
thing.
Thunder?
Yeah, he went full retard.
Did what's his name get anything for Tropic Thunder? His portrayal, Robert Downey Jr.
No, because that'd be racist.
No,
He was
I think
so
he
good in that
actually.
movie.
Let me Google this. I'm almost confident he did.
We watched Tropic Thunder for a movie night last year, and I
Yeah.
was just like, Robert Downey Jr. is such a good actor.
I
know.
thought he won Best African
Nominated for
American
one
actor.
Oscar.
Oh wow, there
He
would be
was
rioting.
nominated for his role
He was.
of yeah.
Okay, he deserves that
awesome.
because
Yeah,
it,
he
it
does
was very
deserve
well
it.
done.
Yeah, so I guess there is some semblance of justice in this world.
Oh, you know what
Yeah.
else was a really good movie this year? Was 1922, which was produced by Netflix.
Yes, 1922 is based on a Stephen King novel.
Oh,
Well, that's
yeah.
the thing. It's like not Netflix, Hulu, HBO.
They're not going to show up.
They
Yeah.
are competing with Hollywood now to the point where you have movies that are better produced on Netflix and you have shows like The Handmaid's Tale done on Hulu, very good, but it's better than
that won a shit ton of Emmys, though.
Stuff that you're going to get in Hollywood. Yeah, that's good. I don't know. I just feel like movies are.
Because here's kind of my theory. Well, I actually have two theories. First has to do with the fact that, at the very least, Hollywood has this perception and that it's kind of boxed itself in, if that makes sense. And to the point where they have no clue how to react to a changing market.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, you can just look at Star Wars, even though the fact it made like $150 million over the course of 2 weeks, it's considered a commercial flop. That should show you how broken that industry is.
Was Last Jedi a flop?
It's considered a flop because it made less than a quarter the second week of what it made in the first week. And generally you want like a nice linear trail, and it was an exponential trail.
It should be considered a flop just from the feedback.
Yeah, it is.
Oh shit!
It's the lowest rated Star Wars movie next to Ewok Adventure.
The whole Disney grabbing Star Wars thing,
is the holiday special rated higher by audiences? That would be amazing. That would be fucking amazing.
I thought the thing with Star Wars under Disney is that Disney, they force cinemas to keep having Star Wars in the big rooms to have it make more money.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because
absolutely.
Like those big sort of tentpole event movies are like their busiest time.
Right.
Which is it's understandable. The big movies making big money.
Yeah, but for 6 whole weeks.
Yeah, but the thing is, there is this fantastic video that I'm going to link in the description, and I suggest you all watch, that basically describes that, much like how we see this widening gap in income, a lot of the money being made is going essentially to the top. And there are less movies that are actually making back their money in any significant way. Like there seems to be, I almost want to say there's like 3 categories of movie. First, there's like the tentpole movies that are just made to make a shit ton of money. Second are like, I guess they're more ambitious projects like Blade Runner as kind of a way to appease critics. And if that makes sense.
Well, Blade Runner almost just felt too good to be true. Like that was a sequel that actually felt like a sequel to a movie that came out in 1985. I don't even know how they pulled that off. Star Wars just felt like a soulish cash grab, like Kite said. It's just a complete
well, that's kind of the
thing.
You got like the big boy cash grabs, and then you got the movies where filled with people who actually give a shit and actually care about creative freedom as just a kind of way to appease awards growers, gain that prestige, and keep the critics happy, I guess. When we're not buying them off.
I mean, ultimately the whole point of these movies is so that they can make a huge profit, so they're going to have to try and appeal to the masses in a certain way.
Well, the masses were a mistake anyway, so
the masses absolutely are a mistake.
No one should listen to the masses.
Considering today what a lot of people find, entertaining, it's kind of disappointing. So it's nice to see, like The Shape of Water, for example. I'm glad that it's up for so many awards, because it was a creative movie.
Yeah. I'm kind of, that actually brings me to my other theory, because I watched the first 20 minutes online before it kind of bugged out.
Mm-hmm.
I have kind of a theory as to why, and the theory is that something like this has happened before. It feels almost like the same way how American Beauty was like this awards darling back in like 1999 or 2000. First off, both of those movies start off with the main character masturbating, so there's that. that was supposed to be a joke, but okay.
I mean, it's true, isn't it?
I thought this was a PG-13 podcast, Pyle.
Do you know nothing about me?
Oh, we know way too much about you.
But the other thing I think is that it kind of resonates with an audience that is particularly receptive to the ideas of things like identity, love, and I don't know. I'm just trying to
and sexy fishmen.
Exactly, and I mean,
Like
yeah.
that's not something that appeals to the masses. That appeals to a very niche,
Very small, very disturbed group of people.
Well, okay, yeah, the fish man. I mean, I don't know about small. I mean, have you been on the internet lately? But I think it's the thing about, say, American Beauty is that it came out at the right time, because it's almost a period piece in its own right of the late 90s, except that it came out at that time. So it's a period piece that was made during the period, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I haven't seen that movie, so I don't know.
Basically, it's Kevin Spacey's this dissatisfied worker and father who quits his job, blackmails his boss, and goes after his high school daughter's best friend. Like, romantically.
That sounds like Kevin Spacey, all right.
Like, there's even...
Oh my god!
Like spoilers for American Beauty.
Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, like I can never watch that movie the same way again now, because there's actually a point where there's this neighbor boy whose father is like a homophobic ex-Marine, and played by Chris Cooper, and there's actually a point where the kid and Kevin are just kind of fucking around smoking weed. And the way that Chris Cooper's character looks into the window, he thinks that his son is blowing him. Huh. This is completely real. This one, like,
I know it's real, Pyle, but when are you going to tell us about the movie? We've all heard about Kevin Spacey.
No, this is all in the movie, and then of course the Marine turns out to be closet gay and tries to hit on Kevin Spacey, and then shooting him in the head. So, but I think the idea behind it was to kind of capture this kind of middle class suburban dissatisfaction that you can also see in films like Fight Club and The Matrix, especially Fight Club. Like, I think Fight Club is more in your face about it, where American Beauty is a lot more subtle and accessible.
I could really go for a new Matrix. That is what I need right now.
Well,
you mean John Wick?
Yes. I am starting to believe the theory that John Wick is just the next Matrix.
Fede and Peter, have you guys seen John Wick?
No.
Oh,
you
it's
guys
so
should
good.
see it.
Go see it.
It's
I need to
very
see
good.
this. I still need to see the second one.
John Wick 2 came out this year and it didn't get nominated for anything. And that movie
Yeah,
has a
it's too
scene
bad.
that has like 8 billion mirrors and you don't see the camera once.
John Wick is basically like a universe where everyone's an assassin, so I could be a nurse, and then I'll also have a part-time job as an assassin. So it's a really well-done universe.
It's so good.
But there are
Wow.
some theories that it is basically
They
like...
put Neo back in the Matrix.
Yeah, that's actually the
Well, the
Matrix.
thing is, I
It's
think
just a
the
cool action
directors
movie.
worked as stunt coordinators for the Matrix trilogy, so I guess that's probably how they knew Keanu anyway.
Yep. It's so good though.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's well
what
done.
a wonderful series. I
I
can't
just
wait for the
miss-
show and I can't wait for the next
Yeah.
movie.
I miss action movies, though, that are fun. I
Yeah.
feel like Hollywood tries to make everything so serious. Like the superhero movies today, I'm kind of over because I'm just over the angst and the...
Like,
That's why Guardians 2 is so good.
Yeah,
Guardians 2 is very
Guardians
because
2
it balanced like humor, action, and like actual, family values story.
And, and the thing about the reason why Deadpool was so successful, because that came out the year before, right?
Yeah, it did.
But yeah, the thing is that it was humor, and it came out at a time where people were receptive to seeing their own cynicism towards superhero movies reflected back in them. It's this wacky,
apparently
fourth
not
wall
enough,
breaking
look at
Ryan
all the
Reynolds
superhero movies.
XB that just gives zero fucks about life.
It's just like on Overboard right now. Like you've got the Avengers coming out, you've got Black Panther coming out. I will say Black Panther looks cool.
Yeah, I want to see
Justice League should have never happened.
That movie's awful.
Because they had no direction to it. Like, they should have just waited.
They should have let Patty Jenkins
They should have let Patty Jenkins do it. Because Patty Jenkins can obviously do superhero movies.
Knows what she's doing.
They really should have,
yeah.
After Zack Snyder left, they should have either waited for him to come back or give it to someone who was on the same wavelength.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I mean, like, Gal Gadot, I think, who was working on that movie that turned out to be, like, one of the Hollywood perverts, and she said she would quit if he wasn't fired?
Oh, yeah, I think it was her agent or something.
Oh, was it?
It was someone on Justice League.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah, it was like someone in Justice League turned out to be a pervert. She said she'd quit if he wasn't fired. Like, you could, like, let's just start from scratch. Let's have good actors and good actresses. Let's have good directors. Let's do a purging of Hollywood.
Someone hire me, please.
Pyle's gonna behave himself. I don't. Another thing. What is it with these actors and these directors and agents who cannot keep their hands to themselves in Hollywood? I do not understand it. After the whole
this
Harvey
is a
Weinstein
disturbing
thing,
trend.
it is incredibly disturbing.
Okay.
And it all started with Kevin doesn't respect your personal spacey.
I was blinded by the balls on that kid.
Yeah.
That's a Baby Driver quote.
I'm glad to see the whole Hollywood Tower thing crumbling down, but man, how did it get this bad?
Yeah,
I think there's still more crumbling to go.
Oh,
we probably don't know how far down the rabbit hole goes.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people are trying to.
They're freaking out trying to cover up their tracks.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we should probably get back on track. So I guess so you guys basically said what movies you saw this year.
Peter and I have also watched Bright on Netflix.
How was that?
How
I heard that
was
was that very good.
Yeah,
no,
that
it was like a solid 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
I gotta say it was a below average buddy cop film.
Okay, that is
it's
the
not
nicest
as bad as
review I've
people
heard.
say.
Yeah,
like it's not good if you compare it to an actual film.
Compare it to a film that's good. It's
like
terrible.
Training Day, which David Ayer wrote.
Yeah, if you compare it to like a crap film, then it's actually okay. So that's why I enjoyed it so much, is because it didn't have superheroes in it.
I liked the premise of it though. It seemed cool, like mystical.
But it knows what it wants to be. It doesn't try to be something bigger.
Yeah.
Right.
It knows it's utter trash, and that's what made it work.
Wow.
Now I want to watch it. You guys have to pause a review. Flex and I've been on the fence about.
I know. We're like, should we give our time to this? I don't know.
Don't go in with really high expectations. Just let it.
That's actually kind of an interesting segue into, because I follow the writer of that movie, Max Landis, who's like the son of John Blues Brothers Landis. And is also, I think he sold the script to Bright for like $3 million.
Wow.
Jesus, it's not worth that much.
Max Landis also did Chronicle. So.
Yes, that's the other thing. I have yet to see that. I've seen all his online stuff.
Okay.
Just okay. Oh.
Yeah, it's chronically okay. That movie
okay.
made me nauseous. I'll say that.
Okay.
Remember that one fight?
Which one? Oh,
Chronicle?
yeah, that was terrible.
Yeah.
Did
No,
I see
I
a
just
shaky cam?
Yes.
Oh, the shakiest.
It was giving me motion sickness, this camera. It gave me a headache watching the movie.
I am
Terrible.
so not going to watch this.
No,
Thank you.
but yeah.
Don't watch it. It'll make you sick.
But anyway, kind of my larger point is that Max has been basically the only the screenwriter that has been the most open publicly about his craft. Like, he has a very prominent online presence on things like Twitter and YouTube, where he does openly talk about his job. So, and he's like said some very interesting things. Like, I might also link his old video on when the live action Ghost in the Shell came out, and he was talking about the controversy of Scarlett Johansson getting cast as Major Kusanagi. I said that right?
I'm not sure. I haven't seen that movie.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
because
so.
they cast Scarlett Johansson as an Asian woman.
Yeah, or kind of, yeah. Did you see it? How did they handle? Okay.
No.
Yeah.
I had better things to do with my time.
Right.
Of course I didn't see it, Pyle. I saw the trailer. That was enough.
Yeah, you know what? I don't blame you. But sort of the idea is that Hollywood just kind of operates on these kind of imaginary, almost metrics of basically it all revolves around star power and being a big name. But the problem is not that any sort of deliberate like whitewashing, but it's the fact that the amount of talent that is considered viable to make a project work, especially a risky project, is shrinking.
What is shrinking?
The amount of viable talent that they consider marketable.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I get you. Like they want to keep making different movies, but they keep using the same guys because they only have 3 actors that will make over $1 billion.
Yep.
I understand completely, Pyle. We're on the same page. I'm glad you invited me.
Very good. Well, yeah, that was sort of part of his larger point. And so you've almost got to wonder, because like I see a lot of the heavier criticisms that Hollywood is this insular bubble.
I mean, the problem with that is like it restricts creativity because you're always like you might do a creative project and like maybe you have a very like you have an idea what actor would suit this role, but like instead, oh no, we're gonna get Scarlett Johansson for this because boys love her and she'll make a ton of money.
No, you gotta hire The Rock for this. Absolutely, he's in everything these days.
Oh, I love
The Rock, though, man. Give me more of The
I know,
Rock.
I know, right? The Rock is actually enjoyable, and he seems like a good guy. But
he's just this generation's Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Except,
yeah,
hopefully without
that's
the
actually
whole
kind of
drama of his personal life.
Oh no, he's gonna accidentally get Vince McMahon pregnant.
Yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger, having like a 30-year affair with his maid, raising her son as some kid he just found. It's like, the kid looks just like you, Arnold. I think we know.
Exactly like him.
The child is not mine.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Arnie's not subtle enough to pull off a ruse like that.
Yeah. Also, I doubt Arnold can sing songs by Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I mean, they were part of the whole Moana, Miranda wrote songs for that, including the solo one that The Rock does.
The songs in one are very catchy.
Yes.
Carry on.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kite and I haven't seen that one.
It was, I thought it was polished. Like, it was a very straightforward hero's journey, but it was neat to sort of, because I was actually born in Hawaii, so it was kind of, I have some like resonance with like Polynesian culture and myths.
As a Disney fan, I actually enjoyed it. Like, it was a very traditional, clear-cut Disney film, pretty much.
No, I haven't seen the film, but I'd just like to say I think it was terrible.
Okay,
Nothing
that's nice.
seeing. A stupid crab.
Listen,
Okay.
Listen.
Okay.
The crab
All
was a
right,
serious
everybody,
bit.
calm down. All right. Oh, Jesus.
Hey, I trust Fede's judgment on Disney movies because she and I are like movie twins. We have a lot of similar
Yes.
tastes. So I'm
totally
going to
are.
take her word for
That'll
this.
come into play later. I'll ask you about that later.
Actually, I'm going to have to go in about 10 minutes, so I don't know how much later it's going to be. I just want to give you a heads up.
Oh, okay. Oh, darn it. Okay, were there any other movies that you wanted to talk about, Fede or Peter?
I want to talk about how annoying Baby Driver was. Like,
Rant about it. This is a safe zone to vent.
oh, thank goodness. The cover of what was the song that they sang at the Easy Like a Sunday Morning, and like the cover at the end, and it comes on resplendent, and it's supposed to be really heartbreaking and really really emotional, but it was really poorly sang. Like, you can hear every exhale she does. She's like, I'm easy.
Wow.
Easy like a Sunday morning.
So in other words, she doesn't step away from the mic to breathe in.
Exactly.
Oh
She
my
learned
God.
nothing from Tezonde.
Oh, good Lord. So, I guess I could kind of go over the movies that I saw this year. Saw Baby Driver. I liked it enough. I saw 25 minutes of Shape of Water illegally. The one that I saw that I guess nobody else did was All the Money in the World. The one about John Paul Getty the third getting kidnapped.
That guy is the most evil man I've ever heard of. My goodness.
No, it was actually really interesting. Like, honestly, I would say it's just a surprisingly good Ridley Scott movie. Hell, you could argue this is where we got two Ridley Scott movies like
User joined your channel.
Alien Covenant and All the Money in the World. Like, here was where Ridley Scott's heart was, I think. And it shows. It was a surprisingly good movie. And I think the only nomination I can immediately think of is Christopher Plummer as J. Paul Getty. And he earns it. And I think it was simply due to the virtue of having
Buddy
to
in
replace...
your channel was kicked from the server. Buddy entered your channel.
Wow, Bishop.
Stop! I'm trying to talk intellectually.
Bishop, go away.
User in your channel was kicked from the server.
Thank you.
God, who invited the nerd?
I'll probably edit that out. What the fuck was I trying to say? Oh yeah, Christopher. The only nomination I can think of is Christopher Plummer, and that's because he had to replace all of Kevin Spacey's scenes in like a month, which I think also speaks to Christopher Plummer being a professional and Ridley Scott's insane work ethic and passion for this project. And I was pleasantly surprised by this one. I'm not gonna lie. But like for me overall, it was a decent enough year for movies. I think my only concern is how long is this fucking Jenga tower gonna stand? That's my primary worry. And
I think that depends on the casual audience, like the casual moviegoers, how much they can keep on doing this.
Okay. Everyone's on home. So, because if The Last Jedi, that one of Disney's big tentpole movies, is considered a flop, as you have claimed, Flex?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's probably not a good sign. Like, I'm sure Black Panther will do fine enough, but who actually gives a shit about Infinity War?
Not I.
I'll see it for the Guardians of the Galaxy.
I mean, I might watch an edit if someone puts an edit on YouTube that's
User
just
entered
them.
your channel.
Then I'll be fine.
Well, hello.
Hey, Emerald.
Hey.
How's it going? Hey.
Hello, Emerald.
A wild
Hello.
special guest appears.
I see.
What's unique about this one is that he apparently knows people in this godless clusterfuck of death and destruction that we jokingly call a business.
Who are you connected to, Emerald? I want names.
Well, I could let you know later, but I know a few people. Yes, in both the gaming and the music industry.
Apparently, our two lovely guests have to take care of something. So, if you would have any closing thoughts for us, Cattails and Flex.
No, just I really care less about prestigious movies and movies that are being nominated and things like that. And I kind of just want to watch things that I enjoy. So I'd say my favorite movies I watched last year, I really enjoyed Jumanji. I loved Wonder Woman. And is that it, Flex? Pretty much it.
It was good.
Oh, it was really good. Yes, the
Oh
movie
my
about
God.
the clown, that was good. But yeah, I want to watch movies that I enjoy, and I care less about awards and titles and stuff like that. So if there could be more creative things, more things that are kind of just heartfelt and touching, I'd be down for that.
So it's kind of an interesting. Who has heard of the movie Ordinary People? Because I just heard of this last night, and apparently it was a Best Picture winner by Robert Redford. I think
I might have heard of it.
Yeah. Like, the reason I even have an Italian fucking deer hunter poster is because I was actively searching for movies about the Vietnam War. And ended up discovering Michael Cimino's disastrous career. So that's like the only time. So that's probably like the only reason I actively sought out any flavor of the year Best Picture winner. Like, I think it's
we're gonna head out now.
Okay, you guys take
And
care.
then you can get back to that chat. Okay, well, thank you for having us on.
No
Bye,
problem.
everyone.
You guys take care.
Bye.
Watch out for the tracer rounds. Okay, Emerald, I guess you have the floor now.
I have the floor. Okay.
We've been kind of talking about the Oscars. We've been structuring around talking about what movies we saw this year, as well as getting into the larger conversation of the cracks in the industry, while are noticeable through things like the fact that there's a bunch of tentpole movies and actual individual movies are, not making as much as they used to, and the fact that there, less people going to the theaters. And of course, you've got a town that's kind of boxed in by its own traditions and imaginary metrics. So what I kind of want to know, as someone who lives in California, who is essentially closer to the heart of all this shit than anyone else here, what have you learned?
What have I learned? Let's see. Well, the biggest thing I'm seeing with the industry in general is that is this whole mentality to not be creative or take risks. Several years ago, there was a big issue where things weren't making money, and then a few people started doing remakes, and they started being really successful. Once they were successful, other studios like, well, we'll do that too. And then everybody got wrapped up into what IPs we have, what do we have already that we can reproduce, what nostalgia can we bring up, and that became the only thing. So then you have a few movies that are kind of unique. What's in Ghost in the Shell? It was I'm blanking out the. Oh, it was the robot one, the AI one.
Ex Machina?
Ex Machina. So Ex Machina is an okay movie, but a lot of people were just blown away by it. Why? Because it was something new.
I think I actually remember like Men in Black also was received similarly because of like the dry spell of summer movies to like.
Exactly. Yeah. So people are just starved for this creativity. But the studios are seeing the money come in through these remakes, and so they don't have to be. Now, from a little insider thing, I was talking to someone in the industry, and they're talking about the new movie Ready Player One.
Oh, this should be good.
Oh, that looks really bad.
Something
the worst.
A movie you think creatively, like, okay, what do I remember? What nostalgia can I bring up and talk about and show in the movie? It really turns out it's not what they remember, what's nostalgic for the makers of the film, but what IPs they have access to. So there was some stories like, oh, what do we have? They're just like flipping through a catalog of what they can get their hands on, and that's what went into the movie. Not necessarily the director or the producer or the writer having nostalgia about certain things. So it's really what was available to it. And certain things are thrown in the movie just because they have the rights to it.
Wait. Warner Brothers has a right to the Kira bike?
They can get the rights to it. Or there's a sub-company or there's some kind of contract that they can get the rights to it on there. So, yeah. So it's not as free as we would think it would be as far as...
Or at least, or even like, or especially as we would want it to be.
Exactly, yes. It's really more business driven in the back scenes than we really understand or really would hope it would be. Not necessarily as a creative as a process, a more legal standpoint. I mean, that's kind of why, Disney/Marvel bought out bought Fox. It's because of the X-Men rights. I mean, that was the main thing for that.
Of course.
I know. Yeah. So... Because, Marvel sold it off years ago when they were about to be bankrupt, to try to get some money, but now
Logan just became all the more depressing.
Fox wouldn't sell. They would not, and that's why Fox kept coming out with certain movies and stuff, because contractually, if they did not, they would actually lose the rights to it. And so they have to come out, no matter if it's horrible or not, as long as they kept using it. Then they could keep
Isn't that why The Amazing Spider-Man came out? Sony just wanted to keep the copyright to Spider-Man.
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, sorry, the rights, not the copyright.
That's what it sounds like.
That's probably also why that absolutely terrible Fantastic Four film came out.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's...
There hasn't been a good adaptation of Fantastic Four, but this one was much worse than that.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I actually avoided that one.
My God. We were talking about Chronicle earlier, and I know that's the same director.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think Josh Trank was just so mad at it, he ended up destroying his career.
The biggest rage quit in history.
Or at least in Hollywood's history.
It's even more funny. Has anyone seen the movie In the Name of the King?
No.
Good.
No.
Don't. It's like a third C-class version of Lord of the Rings wannabe. And they actually switched directors in the middle of it. And the reason they switched directors is because they knew it was going to be a failure. So there's this one director that gets hired on in order to actually ruin the film so bad, but not make it look like it was ruined, so they can collect on the insurance money for a flop film.
Oh my
God.
god.
It's the producers.
Oh no!
It did. And he's actually been banned in certain circles because they know as soon as he's hired that he's just going to try to make it bad. So that does really low in the box office. So, and of course, what's scary is like Sharknado, they've made at least 3 of these films. So, yeah, there's Nigger King like 1, 2, and 3. I think one of them is like a U.S. soldier who goes back in time to the Middle Ages.
What the fuck?
No, spare me.
It's so horrible.
Wow, the American remake of Gate sounds awful. I'm not even sure that's the right anime I'm thinking of, or the right title.
Are you thinking of Steins Gate?
That's what I was thinking, is Steins Gate.
No, there's this one where a fucking portal to another dimension opens up in the middle of Japan.
Is this the one where the Japanese military goes back to ancient Rome?
Oh, have not seen this. I'm not sure if I want to.
Oh no, it's terrible.
Fuck.
It's just classic Japan. Our army is so great.
A1 Pictures made it, so... Right. Okay, it is called Gate. I'm not crazy.
Okay.
Just Gate.
Yes, just Gate.
What happened to Stein?
That's a different one.
That took 8 episodes to start going anywhere.
Oh my god. Anyway,
I liked it, but it was it definitely it was definitely slow paced.
So Emerald, you said earlier there was a problem that they weren't making money. Was it because there were changes to the market that early, or what was happening?
A lot of it actually has to go back to the introduction of the internet, the access to information, entertainment.
Right.
The whole landscape was kind of changing, and they weren't really keeping up with it. They tried different things like 3D. 3D is such a gimmick. Some films it can work, but it's far and few between. It's really to get, how do I get extra money out of these people, versus spending the money on making better films or taking risks. I mean, I'm not sure people remember like Orion Pictures. Orion Pictures was one of those companies that they actually used to try to do more experimental stuff, where they might not do well in the box office, but it was a way that they wouldn't really have to lose a lot of money if it wasn't successful. But they could try different things and support different directors trying different things out. And of course, that got closed down, and only recently was picked back up. I really haven't really seen anything from that studio.
I can think of like 2 movies that have carried the Orion name. That is the Town That Dreaded Sundown meta sequel, which is such an interesting concept that I'm surprised I never see before. And then that James Gunn written movie, The Belko Experiment.
Oh yeah, Belko, yeah. I mean, even recently I've seen Desperation try to get people into the theaters. Have you seen about the luxury seats that they're now offering at certain theaters?
Vaguely.
They have electric footrests that come up. They lean back. They're wide. I mean, literally, they probably had to cut out a third of the seats because these things are so huge and comfortable that even though...
I bet they cost so much that you don't even notice the lost revenue from the missing seats.
Exactly, yes. Yeah. I know. They're filling up the theater now versus having a half-empty theater.
Yeah.
Encouraging people to come back. And I've seen it more often, especially around here in the Bay Area. More theaters are doing this now.
Yeah. I brought up a video earlier about the Hollywood crash about the incoming Hollywood crash that came out like 2 years ago, maybe. Okay. And one of the follow-ups he did, he kind of predicted that seeing a movie in the theater, people would do that like they were seeing like a Broadway show, or like a play. Do you see that in the future?
Not anymore. Unfortunately, people's attention spans and what they want, I think, has a little changed. They're not looking as much more of a story. They're more looking for quick entertainment and on a big screen. For example, I had a discussion with some people about Thor Ragnarok that came out. It was, if you wanted a film that had constant actions, changing scenes, a lot of implanted jokes, that was great. But from a writing standpoint and from a themed point of view, as far as where the plot was going, what kind of film are you presenting, it was all over the place.
Right.
I'm talking to someone who worked for ILM. Same thing. He was saying that there was just behind the scenes. It was basically they're like, the directors were told, well, why don't you try this? And they're like, yes, okay, we'll try that. Not really questioning it or not really thing, but just basically going all over the place. And then eventually had to be put together and edited into a film. So some of the feelings of what kind of movie this is really do jump around because of what they were trying to do. And I mean, also on this more same point is the trailers. The length of trailers is amazingly long. Getting longer and longer almost every year. I mean, you're not to be like 5-minute trailers, 7-minute trailers. It's showing almost everything in the movie. I mean, I almost have to restrict myself just to teaser trailers, which sometimes almost show too much. All I really want to know is what kind of story is it going to be, and from there I pretty much can figure out, is it something I'm going to like, from a teaser these days. But everything else, I'm like, I will see the whole movie if I watch a 5-minute trailer on the movie coming out.
Yeah.
It's because they want to make sure that they grab people. Like, they don't care about spoiling things as long as they're more they just want to get people in the cinema or the theater. So they'll be like, oh, if I show this, people will definitely come. Like, they don't really care about leaving it to the audience to find out. It's more about making sure the audience is there in the first place.
I do agree on that. I also say that it's also the audience's fault. There have been things where the audience are actually demanding to see what are they going to spend their money on. They want to see the action scenes. They want to know when they go see the movie, this is what they're going to see. And they want more and more of it. The theaters are happy to oblige. Okay, fine, we'll show you more stuff. We'll show you more action scenes. We'll show you all this stuff to entice you to come see the actual movie.
Yeah, it's not like I don't like that. Stupid. Yeah, I don't like that because like you should take a chance on any piece of art that gets created. It's not about when people on the internet they read fan fiction and they want to know, okay, there's this thing and there's that thing and that appeals to me. That's my taste completely. But like an artistic piece that is completely original, you should not be making demands out of it or like making sure it ticks the boxes for you. It should be an experience. Like it should be something you're surprised by.
I was gonna say about your Broadway comment, Pyle. I think that's probably also due to the fact that cinema ticket prices just keep on going up.
Well, the thing is,
can go to back in
like
the day,
numbers are big,
month.
but like the actual attendance is lower than it's ever been.
Way down because it's just too expensive, and you can just watch it on Netflix or whatever.
Or you can wait a couple of months and the Blu-ray will be out.
Yeah. Oh, but even less than that. I've seen like 2-3 weeks, and then the DVD or Blu-ray's out.
I've seen it. It's like when they think the film isn't going to do well, they will rush the Blu-ray into production.
Right. That actually brings me to an interesting point about services like Netflix and Hulu, or even like Amazon Prime. I guess that's probably the 3 big ones. But I think what also makes them appealing is that there's that element of actively choosing, and then the idea is to just provide a wide array of choices that reach specific markets. Because I think the thing about like more artistic or more art house works is that they're less about trying to appease a general audience and more trying to create a powerful, impactful experience for a group of people who are especially receptive to it, if that makes sense. And Netflix has everything from fucking Fuller House to basically BoJack fucking Horseman, basically this weird spoof of Bob Saget that's also this super fucking depressing show. And there's something, and then there's, something like Good Eats or Making a Murderer, or Amazon has The Tick or The Man in High Castle.
It's very so much like Steam. It's an all-in-one place to get.
Yeah, it's exactly like Steam. I just
Steam,
realized
you get
it.
all kinds of games. It's not, I'm going to EA or I'm going to whatever other companies are. I get to go to one place and have all my games. I'm not discriminatory about which company it's from, what kind it is, but I have access to it all in one place. Same thing with Netflix. And of course, a lot of other companies are seeing the success of Netflix and then trying to do their own thing. Streaming services like CBS has theirs.
Oh my
HBO
God.
has theirs.
Yes.
PBS has theirs.
Disney is probably...
Disney has theirs.
Disney's making one. They're pulling their stuff from Netflix, I heard, and then putting it all on their own Disney
I remember
thing.
that was big news.
But at the same time, I'm
costs
not
like
sure how
$30
well those
a
will
month.
do because the attractiveness of Netflix, Hulu, and there was an all-in-one location. All this stuff is available. I mean, I'm not sure how many people are going to want to have a subscription for whatever, $10 each or whatever more for all these different services. It's going to be as expensive, if not more expensive, than having cable.
It's going to be absolutely terrible. It's classic people, the studio executives not knowing what people actually do. Like, they watch our stuff on Netflix, so they'll obviously pay $15 a month to watch just our stuff.
I kind of
that
wonder
was
because
disgraceful. I want you to apologize for that. I heard that. Your mic is on voice activated, but that was just not good.
Oh God, this is gonna be a bitch to edit. So
No,
kind of
no, keep that in.
I think I want to say about the Netflix stuff. Like, it's interesting because if you think about it, this is not why Netflix was made. Like, Netflix was made to be an alternative to cable TV. Like, oh yeah, all the shows that are on cable TV, now you can just get them whenever you want and you don't have to rush that night to go and get that episode of that show or whatever. But now that they offer their own shows and their own films, it's almost like it's turned into another cable TV. And like, Hulu offers their own stuff and Amazon offers their own stuff. So if I want to watch The Man in High Castle, I need to subscribe to Amazon. But if I want to watch Bright, I need to also have a Netflix subscription. And then if I want to watch a show that's on Hulu, I need to have a Hulu subscription. And then suddenly you're paying more to have all these little subscriptions instead of just cable.
I mean, yeah, that's a good point. Like, I know, like, my Prime subscription is like $100.
But like, the point of these things was to get you away from one subscription, and now there's like, you'll have more than one subscription now because all these shows are all on different systems, on different places.
Well, I have Prime because it's not just free streamable titles, but it's also like free shipping and music and shit.
This episode of Private Pyle's Foxhole was brought to you by Amazon.
Use my code.
10% off your Prime pre-order.
Oh fuck! I wish I could get a sponsorship like
Use
that.
my code PTSD to get 10% off.
That's amazing.
Oh god, nobody's gonna get these jokes. But then again, nobody's probably gonna watch this anyway because like 10 people are subscribed to this fucking channel.
So for Vietnam's films, have you checked out The Thin Red Line?
No. What's that?
Very beautifully well shot. Actually, I got to meet the cinematographer a few years ago.
Really?
He actually won the Cinematographer Award of the Year because of the cinematography on it. A lot of guest little cameos in it from different actors, but definitely for a very visually nice movie. Check that one out.
What the fuck is it called again?
The Thin Red Line.
Oh, The Thin Red Line. Oh, okay, yeah. Terrence Malick? What the fuck? Oh my god. Terrence Malick did a Nam movie? How have I never heard of this? This fascinates me deeply.
Yeah, on your to-do list now.
Jim Caviezel? They got Jesus in this? It's based on a... Would you say that John Toll was the cinematographer?
Yeah.
What's he like as a person?
He was very nice and humble. He was very nice.
Oh my god, he also did Braveheart and Last Samurai and Cloud Atlas. Fuck, dude. You know
Don't
people.
bring up Braveheart here. This is a safe space for me.
Oh fuck, I completely forgot. I'm so sorry.
But from a non-historical, inaccurate perspective,
It's not even a good
value
film.
only.
It's not even a good film. It's just annoying. Like, there's so many continuity errors. They think that our castles were made of wood, and we've got rocks.
This was the best picture winner. I just remembered.
There's this one scene where he's like wielding a morning star, you know, that ball and chain flail.
Yes,
and then in the next scene he's got like an axe. And somehow he's able to carry all of this on his tiny Highland pony. Fucking dickhead Mel Gibson.
You can carry 1,000 weapons in your backpack. I mean, in every video game it's that way.
Yeah.
Hey, but I mean, they didn't base it on us. That was probably the Irish.
Wow. Damn, son. No, I've never.
That fucking film is like.
I would have never guessed that Terrence Malick made a Vietnam movie. That's. Wait, that's not. This is 1962 novel. No, wait, this is about Guadalcanal. What the fuck? It's World War II. Nah, never mind. It'll probably be a good movie anyway.
A war movie then, yeah.
Yeah. You had me. The poster had me fooled by the helmets. Now I just feel stupid. God damn it.
Well, you look stupid too, jackass.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Pyle. I love you.
It's okay. I love you too. All the homo. Oh, but I think what I was trying to get to, because originally this podcast was focused particularly on like the Oscars and what was nominated, but I almost kind of think that both from the business angle and the prestige, because you weren't here for this, Emerald, but I said that there were like three types of movies. There was like the big tentpoles that are just meant to appeal to everyone and make a shit ton of money. Then there's the second, more ambitious projects that are just, meant to win prestige and keep the critics happy. And then there's the third ones of just shitting out in the hopes of making something. And most of the time, and most recently, they're not even doing that anymore. I think like in both those two, Hollywood has been kind of living in a bubble, almost. Because, I mean, have you ever heard of Ordinary People? I'd never heard of it. I didn't hear of it until last night, when I was watching some fucking YouTube video about how the Oscars are screwing over Japanese anime. So
You would watch that, you fucking weeaboo. I'm sorry.
But anyway, what was I trying to get at? So I think the larger, so there's kind of existing, and it's almost like in this bubble of we are the center of the universe, almost, because everybody kind of jokes about, what am I trying to get at? Christ. Wow, I didn't know Woody Harrelson's in this. Jesus. These are some big names for a Terrence Malick movie. I guess what I'm trying to get at is that there's this perception that Hollywood kind of operates by its own weird logic, and that it has no real idea of picking movies that are actually have any sort of long-term appeal. Because I'm sure we can all remember Fight Club a hell of a lot more better than American Beauty. I imagine most of you have probably heard it's possible you've only heard of this movie just now.
I haven't watched it or heard of it before, I don't think.
What film? Yeah, American Beauty.
What happens in Fight Club stays in Fight Club.
We don't talk about that, Pyle. Didn't you watch it?
No, I have American Beauty. I own that because it was just so fascinating, and I thought the lead performance is really good. Like, I'm happy that Annette Bening still gets work because she's so fucking good.
I think the point is that
I think the thing I'm trying to get is they're kind of too in their own. It seems like a town. Okay, the thing is that Hollywood seems like a town that's just perpetually in its own little world. That's what I'm trying to get at. And
yeah, they're kind of up their own arse.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that, yeah. I was trying to be a little bit more cordial, but maybe it's not worth it.
You told me this chat wasn't PG-13. I'm allowed to say grown-up words.
It's all about the bottom line and how much money they can make, not about being creative and giving what people want. I mean, that's one thing I've found attractive about Netflix is they'll do like 16 different pilots, and whatever one people like is what they'll make versus rehashing old stuff, and which is the movie industry. What they're doing is they're just.
I think Amazon did that too. That's like how The Tick got revived.
Oh,
because I remember I watched the pilot for The Tick and voted for it.
Wow, that sounds extremely uncreative and unimaginative.
No, it was actually really good, and it was The Tick that. It was the idea was that it had sort of this cult following, and that there was actual effort put into it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, Fed, don't judge.
Yeah, like.
I remember
the problem is that they want to make a lot of money, and the people at the very top don't care about art. They care about money, and they love casual moviegoers because they don't really like to think when they watch a film.
Just spend.
They just want easy entertainment.
Yep.
And
kill your parents.
Do it.
Do it.
The Senate. Oh, Pyle, your next episode should be about the Star Wars prequels.
Just the prequels, or
just
the
after the prequels? Just the
post-original trilogy.
No, don't listen to him, Pyle. Just the prequels.
We'll see.
Don't make me shudder.
He's too dangerous to be left alive, Anakin.
Oh my god.
Pyle, if you do an episode on the prequels, I am in, because I am going to watch the prequels. I've never watched them.
Oh my god.
I don't have any nostalgia feelings about Star Wars because it was never in my childhood. So I'll have the most.
Wow, that sounds like a shit show.
Yeah, she says she'll be objective, but her favorite Star Wars film is Return of the Jedi, so you can't trust this woman.
Look, it's a great film. I love it. It's the best one.
It's the Ewoks.
Ewoks are so dumb. They take up so much.
I remember reading how the Ewoks how did Lucas base the Ewoks off the Viet Cong?
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
My understanding is they were mini Wookiees, on there were more marketable for kids.
T-80 bears with sticks and rocks.
Teddy bears, basically walking, talking teddy bears.
Oh, good lord.
Yeah, I heard that they wouldn't let him make the movie unless they added like a more marketable creature. And he was like, okay, I'll put literal fucking teddies in it.
Oh
Look,
my
what's
god,
more
George
marketable than
Lucas is a
R2-D2?
fantastic human being.
I actually love George Lucas. He should have never sold to Disney.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't necessarily hate the prequels, but we'll save that for another episode.
Yeah, prequel episode.
So I guess my last question to you, Emerald, since you seem to know the most out of everyone that's been here so far on this
No pressure, right? Yeah.
obscure fucking podcast on the internet.
We're still here, man. We can hear everything you're saying. That's rude.
I know, that's the joke.
Edit that out then.
No. I don't even know if I'm going to edit anything out.
Go for a raw experience.
Pyle Raw tonight at 7
on the USA Network.
Only on Sunday. Also Saturday.
Next time on on Pyle Raw.
Raw, uncut, unscripted. What more could you possibly want?
Yeah.
A cage match.
Yeah, it's a cage match. It's Pyle and his inner demons.
Who will win? Nobody knows. Stay tuned for the results.
Is Vince McMahon pregnant with The Rock's kid?
Yes.
That's a known fact.
Okay, so I guess to kind of a larger question, Emerald, since you tend to since you have a clearer understanding, since you've been among these I want to almost say like these alien lizard demon men,
these so-called people.
I need to know, is there a way out of this? Or are we just doomed to perpetual stupidity and failure?
No, there's going to be definitely, I think, a breaking point. And there's going to be a desperate change in the market, and how people are they're going to have to adapt fast, if not die. I think definitely the movie industry, it will peter out at some point, where people are just going to get sick of it. I mean, example, like Star Wars films, a lot of even fans are getting really tired of it. And so they're going to have to start being creative in order to stay alive, or find new venues or new ways to bring the entertainment and not fall behind. So it's not going to be forever, but it's going to be a slow change.
Like, I think the video I talked about, which I might have linked to you a long time ago, it predicted that the crash would come in like the 2020s.
Okay.
So, I guess I better start building up my production resume during that time.
Stay tuned, folks. Expect it.
Oh
I
my
think
god.
2020 sounds about right. Like, maybe even earlier, because audiences, well, the casual moviegoers, they're pretty fickle.
Yep.
Right.
And when so much is available online or at home, it's going to take a lot for them to pull them out.
And so, once all this shit goes down, what's kind of your vision of the everyday movie-going experience once this radical shift happens? And is it going to be in any way comparable to something similar that happened in the 60s with sort of the rise of the new Hollywood directors, which, oddly enough, people like Steven Spielberg, sort of this last big rise of all these new talents and of course we still see their names in lights all the time.
It's sort of hard to say exactly where it's going to go, but definitely I think more of these on-demand sort of models could be more prevalent. and I think it's going to stay that way. And it's going to be really, they're going to be more creative on what they create, more, I think, more pandering to people's interests on there.
I think if the studio executives had to choose between being creative or dying, I think it's time to arrange the funeral.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of wondering with the whole sexual harassment scandal, if we're, because obviously that was just a big shockwave, and that was really the point where people are cluing into what they at least perceive as cracks in the whole facade. So
I think it's interesting because like a lot of people hype up the Oscars and like it's like, oh yeah, my favorite actor is only one place, blah blah blah. But then like half of these people are sexual predators.
That also I think has to do a lot with the movie industry and the hierarchy and the power plays that were done. It was a very exclusive, very really, people who felt they were, in power, and they did rule their sort of small empires, and so the ability for sexual harassment to happen was a lot more common, it was, you work, you followed along or you're out, and there was, and getting in itself was hard enough. I mean, I tried for the film industry for a while too, and I never got in because I didn't want to be on call to volunteer. I had bills to pay and all that stuff. So there was a lot of insider feeling you had to be in order to get anywhere in that industry. And so it was very controlled by people at top, and they could pretty much do what they want without much consequences. And now it's coming out, those that kind of behavior and that attitudes are being made more public.
Yeah.
That's not.
Do you see that? Since that behavior's out in the open, and so there's obviously more of a concerted effort to address that, but do you see the hierarchy changing? Like slowly. Even after...
Slowly. It's gonna definitely take some time and some generational change when they step down. I mean, they're probably not going to be as open about it, but it's gonna take another generation to go through to really flesh that out.
Am I one of those people?
To flesh them out?
Or, would I be one of those people too? Or, I don't know. I don't know.
I think everyone's effort to get involved in that is going to make a difference on there. The more people that's involved, the more diverse you can get the participation in it, the less people have control and less they can rule it like a kingdom and do whatever they want on it when there's other options. And there's more options, then people are not forced to stay in a situation like, example, even like with a job. If you feel if you quit, there's no other else will hire you, of course you're going to take the abuse that comes with it from a bad boss on there. But if you have a variety of places you can go, then you're not going to take it. So the more people involved with entertainment, movie making on there will give actors and other people more variety. So if something small does come up, they have that freedom to make a change and do something else.
Pyle, I think you've got a shot at getting your directing up there.
Well, I appreciate your vote of confidence.
Mine too, baby.
Keep going.
I've actually still got something in the works I need to finish.
Keep going.
So yeah, I feel like I should have a last question, but I don't know, maybe that was my last question.
What's your favorite color?
Black.
Of course. Black like my soul. Classic fucking goth Pyle. Why did I even come on this fucking show?
You're fired. You'll never work in this town again.
Fire me, I quit.
Are you harassing him? Sexually?
I am being sexually harassed.
Harassed, yes. I'm feeling uncomfortable.
I need some alone time. This was not good.
I think this podcast needs an adult.
I thought I was the adult.
Exactly, that was the problem. I'm just an innocent boy.
My ears, my ears.
You have been scarred for life, Emerald.
He's been scarred for life. Think about me.
Okay, we've got 2 scarred people on the podcast already on the first episode. I think this is a good wrap-up.
Yeah! My life. I feel
start,
very
yes.
accomplished in life. Well, I guess...
Can't scar your friends. Who can you scar?
Oh, my career is going to be so awesome. I can't wait to
You wanna know
scar
how I got these
audiences all
scars?
over the world.
You want to know how I got these scars? It was Pyle. Pyle did everything.
And now your audience can get the scars too. Hey!
Yeah, and at the end of the movie, it'll feel like they've had an out-of-body experience, except that their soul went to hell and saw things that could never be unseen, and then they'll see directed by and my name, and they will know. They will know.
Look, I'm
My
okay
power.
with that. Look, I'm okay with that movie experience. That's exactly what I want.
Yeah, man, I've seen Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus. It can't be any worse.
Well, I appreciate your faith. Well, I don't suppose anyone has any closing thoughts. So that's a no.
I thought this was a very successful first episode, to be honest.
Oh, really? That's nice. I guess kind of Jesus, this thing was all over the place. But I think that the consensus that we can reach is that Hollywood is currently shit, and I hope Harvey Weinstein gets castrated by chickens.
Fair.
Yeah.
Here.
I think we can all agree to that.
Poor chickens.
Now they're scarred.
Poor chickens. They'll be scarred. They'll be scarred chickens.
Don't torture the chickens that way.
All right. I guess. Okay. How about a bear? Is a bear better?
Yeah, because the bear would enjoy it. It just tear him to shreds. To shreds.
Alright, well, I'll, Emerald, let me know if there are any, bear actors. I don't know how many animals they've got.
Okay.
And then town, but, you just hook me up with somebody and, we'll get to it.
Alright.
Alright, this was a podcast. This was PrivatePyle's Foxhole podcast. With any minute now, the NVA regulars should start shelling the hell out of here. So we should probably wrap this up and get back to seeing the horrors of and the darkest depths of humanity. All right, well, I want to thank everyone for coming on.
Thank you for having us, Pyle.
Thanks for having us.
And I don't know, maybe there will be another episode. We'll see how this book ends up. And this has been Private Pyle coming to you live from the shithole capital of the universe, Earth. And I'll see you all in hell.
That sounds nice. See you there.
Roger. Dash 5998. 1059. Dash 985 to WP, your command. Beautiful. Be ready to direct the Hardy to the east.